tank shells fired, gunshots heard, cities to ruins, and innocent bloodshed. A common word we all know, war. Responsible for this is Syria, specifically the Syrian government, and the victims are the civilians within. According to the Daily Titan, written by Ian Wheeler, a small article states at least 7,500 people have died. Hello class, I'm Jamal, and today my goal is to inform you on the current events happening in Syria. In detail, I will be talking about the Arab Spring, which kickstarted the revolution, and the Syrian people, why they are protesting, and how it affects us, as in the United States. Let's start off with finding out how the revolution started. So how did the Syrian protests start? The series of protests across the Middle East became known as the Arab Spring. The first protest sparked when a protester lit himself on fire in Tunisia on the 18th of December 2010. After being televised, countries such as Algeria, Jordan, Syria, and Egypt followed with the protests. This was a chain reaction. Also, Syrian citizens used Facebook, Twitter, and email to spread the word about the revolution happening. With social networks and brave protesters, Syria was able to start a revolt. Now that I've explained how this whole uprising came to be, I will now be discussing why they are rebelling. Well, President Bashar al-Assad had promised socio-economic and human rights improvement but failed to do so. Not only that, but al-Assad had over time tightened internet censorship and is responsible for the arrest of political prisoners, ranging from journalists to average protesters. Economic conditions in Syria are horrendous. An article taken from journalistsource.org by Roseanne Larson claims that the Syrian unemployment rate is 26% compared to United States 6%, and that was back in 2002. The problem is 77% of these employments are in their youth, so they're young, which results in the diminishing of standard of living. Human rights also played a role in the uprising. Syria has been under emergency rule since 1963, which granted security forces to arbitrary arrest, which means arrest without reason. This usually happened to any critique of the Syrian government, usually ending with torture and poor prison conditions. The emergency rule also allowed censorship of any internet sites. According to AmericaAbroad.org, reportedly more than 200 sites are banned, including Facebook. Also, all internet cafes in Syria, which I've been to personally, are to save any chat logs by the public. I have a story I want to share. My brother, a stepbrother, he was in Syria during this turmoil, and he was at a checkpoint. And they told him to give him his papers, so he did. And the last thing he told them was, in a very, very thick Middle Eastern accent, "Do you have Facebook?" And he was like, "No." And that's just to show you guys that they take it seriously, Facebook. So now that you all know why the people of Syria are protesting, I would like to explain how it can affect the U.S. With the turmoil in Syria, this can cause economic problems and our foreign relationship with other countries such as Iran, resulting in war. Senator John McCain, representative of Arizona, proposed U.S.-led airstrikes against al-Assad forces, which was taken from the HuffingtonPost.com. Read an article from IsraeliScene.com. Syria has a strong alliance with the now nuclear-producing country Iran. It is said that Iran is supporting the protest crackdowns and is sending warships after the United Nations condemned Syria for violating human rights. With civil unrest in Syria, any sanctions that would cut off free trade on Syria would affect the price of oil, meaning the inflation of gas prices, which is already inflated. Since our gas prices are already almost $5 a gallon, this will have potential of increasing with Syria's current state. see the flag on the Syrian flag. This flag is pro-government flag, and this is anti-government flag. And these are pictures of how massive the rebellions are. Al-Assad and his civilians will continue to fight with each other during this time of unrest. After discussing how this revolution began, why they demonstrated, and how it could possibly affect us, I hope you grew more knowledgeable about this serious topic.
Great, thank you. Good job, thank you. Okay, so for those of you that are